Okay. I'm recording Zoom now, so you don't have to worry about any of that. We'll
Okay.
do a countdown 3, 2, 1, and we all just start recording on Audacity at roughly the same time. And then
Okay.
we'll send him the files, and then he can spend the next 2 weeks pretending like he's going to do it. And then
Yeah.
he'll string
if
it
we're
up.
lucky, it's 2.
Yeah. So
Right.
and then
3.
he'll stitch that together. So
Actually, is there a quick way in Audacity to mute? In case I need to do that without necessarily pausing it, just to keep from throwing off the sync.
Oh, there's there should be a microphone with a slider.
Okay.
If you slide that
yeah,
all
the recording
way down,
volume.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
that should, I don't know if there's a quick way to do it, but that's a way to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't if I click on the.
Yeah. I'm sure there is a way, but.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. I have to warn you, I probably will smoke during this.
I don't think
just
anybody
from
cares.
Yeah. Well, just from I'm accustomed to being on work calls and stuff, and so I tend to mute myself when I light a cigarette just for.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Oh, you mean smoke a cigarette? You don't mean like just smoke like coming out of your jacket or your ears? I was excited there for a second.
Bad.
I thought the YouTube channel was going to take the fuck off there for a second, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, with that shirt.
You're right.
Hail Satan.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Oh shit! I think I've already
Yeah,
worn
he's
this
got
on
the
an
devil
episode.
colors on too.
I think I've already worn this on an episode. Crap. It's too late to change. Oh well.
Yeah. I'll probably be.
Where's your stylus?
Joined by a cat at some point too.
Yeah, I got my door. I've got my shit blanked out enough. I don't think you'll see my door open, but my cat food is in my office, so my cat will come in at some point. And
yeah. I don't know if the camera picks it up. It's right outside.
Right.
So,
I was gonna say if you want, light that cigarette right up in the microphone. It's good to have that as atmosphere for the podcast.
Oh, that's true too. There you go.
People will be, yeah. Just it sounds like I don't know. It just gives it, that we're like detectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that too. Get some emphysema in there.
That's the flavor.
Another audio texture.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. You're, I think, going to lead us in this week, right, Kevin?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's
okay.
You.
I'm not going to surprise you with the long version of my name.
Gavin Young.
Gavin Young. All right.
Master. All right. So in Audacity, everybody let me know when you're ready and I can count down just for us to look at the button.
Just double check that it's where it is saving to.
Yeah. Definitely do that. I had one of our episodes, it was like it paused out in the middle. It was,
that's right.
And that's why I'm thinking of it, because I remember that from the YouTube part. Where
that's funny.
That's fun. Yeah.
We're professionals.
Hey man, I bought an SSD just to record this shit onto. So
I'm not recording it onto the SSD. I moved it off of there because the SSD is where the games go.
Oh, so. Yeah. See, right. Yeah. No, I have.
But
well,
I have I have a 4 terabyte drive with about 2 free. So I'll put it on that.
Okay. Yeah, I've got my main hard drive. I've got my M.2 with my operating system and my good games. And then I got a couple of SSDs crammed in there because they're cheap at Micro Center. So I try to pick one up every couple of months just to have a little extra.
Right.
That's cool. Micro Center.
Right, so where is it? It's under recording. No, it's not under recording. Under preferences.
Was weird, wasn't it?
Libraries, directories. Here it is. Location. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the temporary files directory. Oh, wait. Yep, that's it. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, good.
Cool.
All right.
I'm ready.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, in 3, 2, 1, record.
Recording.
Cool. Everybody see the bars going?
I do.
Good. Excellent. Alrighty then.
Cool. All right, so now we're pretending to listen to the intro. Well, I'm sorry, shit. Episode 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
book
confirm
7.
that. I don't know.
Fuck, wait. God damn it.
Wait, Anchor.
What did we do? We did God damn it. Yeah, it's episode 7. It's got to be episode 7.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep.
Yeah, episode 7. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome to episode 7 of the Holograms Media podcast with me, Gavin.
Yours truly, William.
And our special guest star.
I don't know that I'd say star, but yeah, special guest, Aaron.
I say star. You've seen the hosts, so.
Fair enough.
So we're talking about a book that Aaron gave us. We're talking about William Gibson's The Peripheral, which is the first in a new trilogy by Gibson. It's called the Jackpot Trilogy, I think.
Yeah, I don't know that there's I guess maybe a name has been given to it, but yeah, The Peripheral is the first, and then Agency is the second, and he's currently writing another one.
Right. Yeah. So this is a book that was given to us. I liked it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It was definitely a book that invites you into a second listen or read for sure. You're going to want to, as soon as you finish it, probably start it right back up again and try to figure out, now that you know what happened or like the lingo, you're going to go back and actually understand like the whole first probably third of it a lot better.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
That happens with Gibson a lot.
Gibson's, yeah.
That was something that you said to me, Gavin, and it's something that I've always thought, that he really just throws you right in.
Yeah, he really does.
You kind of have to, grab on and just go with it, and eventually, the lingo will start to make sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's always been like that. And I said, I told Will when we were talking about this, I said, I'm excited for Gibson, but he's a difficult book. He's a difficult author. He's not hard, but he throws you in with no ceremony.
Yeah. I mean, the first time that I read Neuromancer, it was a case of picking it up and putting it down over the course of, maybe a year.
Right.
And I finished it, and I was like, I have absolutely no idea what happened.
Yeah.
And I didn't read any more of his for a while. And then one year around Christmas, I was down visiting my sister, we're out shopping, and I just picked up a paperback of Pattern Recognition. And I read through that in like a day. And that I really think is I call that my Rosetta Stone to Gibson.
Right.
Once I had read through that, I really kind of got what he was doing, and I ended up going back and rereading Neuromancer, everything else, and he's just been one of my favorites ever since.
Yeah, he's really So this was Will's first Gibson, right?
Well, I was going to say, I have to admit, as you were saying with Neuromancer's story, similar thing happened to me where it was on the list, the original list that inspired this podcast.
Yeah, right.
And it was like one of the first books I think that I tackled on the list. And I was like, fuck, man, Gavin's giving me these books. I don't think I can keep up with it. And I got I had to say, I only got about halfway in there, and I was like, I got to go on to the next book. And I can't remember what the next one was. And I never went back to Neuromancer. It's one that I still have, and it's
day will come.
Always been there. Yeah, it's always been there as like one that I need to go into. And especially after reading this, I'm like, damn it, why have I not gotten back into Neuromancer yet? And now I'm excited for, what was it? Pattern
Recognition. Yeah. That remains one of my favorites. And I do think it's maybe one of the most accessible, and that's probably why it, was the one for me. Because it's probably the closest to a present day, less out there kind of sci-fi story. In fact, I don't even know how much I would say it's sci-fi.
That's true. Yeah, I would have said Blue Ant was probably more. I haven't read pattern recognition in a long time, but the
pattern recognition is part of the Blue Ant.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it just is the whole thing. But that was all post 9/11. That was his first books post 9/11, and that.
Yep.
I felt like,
and that figures into it as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I felt like there was a change in his not general style, but yeah. So, but yeah,
that's something I've noticed. That people have said he was hardcore sci-fi, and then he switched up for a little bit, and then this is the book that's kind of gotten him back into that more traditional, or not traditional, but the way that he used to write, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely more out there.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I dug it. I dug it. It was a difficult read. I don't think the narrator was the right person for it. But I will say after about I started it and I hit rewind, 15 seconds back a lot. And then after about maybe the first quarter of the book, I gave up and I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to roll with it. I can't pick up on the details. I know I'm going to do this again. And then maybe about 2/3 of the way through or 3/4 of the way through, it clicked. And I didn't dislike her anymore. I still don't think she was the right choice, but I didn't dislike her actively anymore. Yeah. And then the second read through was fantastic. Like once I was catching details that I had no idea was there, I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I had read it on Kindle when it first came out. And this is the first time that I had been back to it. And I got a lot more out of it this time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was only your second read through, I guess, than Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely get a lot more out of it the second time. Like you were saying there, Gavin, I think also not only the narration was a little bit difficult, but also just the subject matter and all the new lingo that you're trying to take in. I think one thing in this book that made it extra difficult was there's just so many characters, which I think on one side was a drawback because at least the first time around, even after going through the whole entire book, as it was wrapping up people's stories, I was like, I don't even know who this person is. And it was like a main character. It was like Leon, and it was her cousin. And I was like, I can't even remember how he fit into her.
Yeah.
And I should have, going back and rereading it, I was like, oh, he's definitely is something that you take in a lot easier. So I think that was definitely a hard part, but then it also makes it more realistic because it's more world-like, it really builds a world that, like you said, he just throws you in and he doesn't dumb it down at all. It's just you're in this world, you're along for the ride, and if you can keep up, you're gonna be it's gonna be hard to stay strapped down because it gets exciting. Different parts are really cool. Just the different tech that he gets into.
Yeah. I mean, you pick things up from context sometimes, and after maybe the fourth or fifth reference, you start to get an idea of what it is that he's talking about, but he allows you to draw your own conclusions about a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Or even, it might be a third of the way through the book when you finally get, an actual explanation of what it is.
Yeah. No, it's the information's all there for you. You just have to find it yourself. That was
right.
It's definitely a 2 in a row. I imagine Agency is probably going to be. Have you read Agency yet, Aaron?
So this is what Agency I picked up at the beginning of last year, and I, hardcover got through
an actual book.
Yeah, the actual book.
Nice, cool art.
Ordered from Waterstones in England, so I could get the signed version.
Oh no!
Somewhere it is. I don't know where it is. Yeah.
The sound of paper.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Weird.
I know.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I was trying to read this at a time when my mom was in and out of the hospital a lot, and like I said to Gavin, I've been listening to the audiobook. I was actually last weekend spent about 6 hours on the road listening to Agency, and I got to a point and I was like, oh, this must be past what I read, because I didn't remember any of it. And then 20 minutes later I'm like, oh no, I remember this scene, but I didn't remember anything that came before it. So I must have just been turning pages without really absorbing anything because I was too preoccupied.
Yeah. Well, and he's an easy author to become preoccupied with. You got not in a detrimental or a bad way, but he is. You can zone out really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you'll hear, even for me, it was like you hear a piece of tech and your mind just starts off like, wow, like where could that go? Like the scene with the Legos. I guess we should say spoiler alert if you're actually haven't read this book yet. We've only really we haven't spoiled anything yet, but
no.
Now we'll probably get into a few extra spoilers type stuff. So like the Legos, the nanotech that he got. And it's just a real quick scene. Like there's so many little hints to this cool technology that it's just a split second. And if you zone out, you could miss the glass over the rivers and like, just all sorts of different stuff.
And we normally do sort of a breakdown or a synopsis of a book, but I wouldn't even know where to begin with this. Cause like you say, there's so many characters in it and there's so much going on.
Well, I mean, at the root of it, it's kind of the story of Flynn Fisher, who lives in some rural part of the U.S. And they don't give actual years in this book.
He's really careful not to, right? He hints at some stuff. We know it's in the future. It's not the far-flung future.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't be any earlier than 2023.
Right.
I worked that out because they said that the collective, or not the collective, but the stub collectors can only come back to 2023. So we're at least 2 years ahead, but clearly we're farther ahead than that, but they never really say.
So if you read Agency, you do actually get more information on that. So what I have put together from Agency is that So Flynn is doing this assignment in place of her brother who needs to go off and do something else, and she's piloting a drone in what she thinks is a game, and comes to find out that what she's doing is an actual telepresence in the future or a future, depending on how you approach it. So what we learn in Agency is that future that has now reached back is early 2130s. So and then they say that they are 70 some years on from Flynn's time period. So that would make that about what, 2070-ish.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That feels about right. So, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's it's definitely a ways in our future, and you can kind of see where we're headed in some of those regards. A lot of similar in some ways, I think, to how I could see us heading toward the future of Snow Crash,
Snow Crash or Snow Piercer or
Snow Crash.
Is
Is
that another Gibson?
Neil Stephenson.
Stevenson.
That's one that you would kind of put up alongside Neuromancer as like entry points, or like, I don't know, iconic maybe. Those were starting points for me anyway.
Cool.
I haven't. It keeps getting recommended to me from, well, simply everyone, and I just haven't got around to reading it.
That's why.
No, it is. It's one of the big ones. It should be done.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But
add that onto the list.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So as we discover kind of the same as Flynn does, the people sometime in the future have discovered a way to communicate or exchange information with the past. And this, it's something of a MacGuffin. It's one of the things that I like about it is that he doesn't explain it at all, because the people who are using it don't know how it works. They don't know how it happened. They just found it.
Yeah.
So he
love that.
He
Yeah.
sidesteps that, but it's, you know, it's great. And avoids the typical, you know, time travel paradox or whatever, because as soon as that contact is made, the timelines diverge. Yeah. And, you know, they refer to these times in the past that they're contacting as stubs, because it's, you know, it's branching off from their timeline. In their past, this didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, as Flynn is doing this job, she witnesses a murder. And then there are two competing groups who are reaching back into her stub. One of them trying to wipe her out because of what she's seen, and another one trying to protect her and have her identify whoever committed this murder. And everything blows up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the big things that they refer to is the jackpot. And that is whatever confluence of events. And they said it took place over the course of many years that resulted in the death of about 80% of humanity.
Mm-hmm. It was a slow build up. It wasn't one major event, but like multiple.
Yeah.
You know, not one pandemic, but multiple events that
right.
And not
coupled
just
with climate change, coupled with pandemics. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because the first time that I read through it, one of the things that happens over the course of this is, you know, all of these two groups trying to affect things that happen in her stub. And over the course of it, they're just throwing more and more money into the whole thing. It's like, okay, well, we've bought the mayor. Well, now they've bought the governor. Well, now we've bought the president. You know, we bought controlling shares in Hefty Mart, which is like the Walmart of the day. And I remember the first time reading through it, I thought, well, maybe the jackpot is, you know, all of the money that they've thrown into this just completely destroying the economy. And maybe that's what caused it. And that's not really the case. That was, you know, kind of my initial thinking of that. But
makes sense though. You hear jackpot and the whole time you're like, oh, it's got something to do with money, but it destroys the world. And so that.
And well, they do get all the tech out of it. Like that's where all the advanced tech comes out of the jackpot. But they couldn't be the economy stuff because they're ruining somebody else's economy, not their own. So this kept taking me back to when we were talking about Primer, which I still think everybody should go watch if you haven't watched Primer.
I love that.
You should still watch Primer. One. I still don't understand it. I've seen it like 8 times. I still don't get it, but it's a great movie.
His second one, Upstream Color, is one of my very favorites.
I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to look for that this weekend. As it turns out, I got a couple days off this week, so I'll check that out.
Okay.
No, it's a COVID scare at work, so everybody's at home quarantining. So could be my last episode. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh boy,
you've already had it though, haven't you?
No, Alice
going out on top.
Oh, okay.
I'm not invincible yet. I kept trying to figure out and I need to just let it go, but who cares? Like what, like these two competing agencies are throwing a lot of their own money. They can't send us money, but they can, because their computing power is 70 years more advanced than ours. And Moore's law says that's got to be faster than balls, I think roughly is the technical term. They can send us information on how to invest in the stock market and do stuff and not manipulate things here, but figure things, right?
Yeah.
Gibson, like I say, Gibson doesn't predict things, but it's eerie how much he gets right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But why? Like, I know Lev was like a stump collector or whatever they called him, or a continuum enthusiast, but
yeah.
Is it just them playing games when it comes down to it?
This is the thing.
Like,
and this is what I kind of realized about the term the jackpot this time through. They say that history is written by the winners. And so it's referred to as the jackpot because the people that survived it were the people who were already very well off and very powerful.
Right.
So, to them, for 80% of the population who were probably, largely just poor people to die off and leave everything else there for them to get all of the, the tech advances that came from it, to them, it was a jackpot. And
crazy.
Yeah. And like you were saying, what was the point of all of this? Ostensibly it's about, this murder that Flynn witnessed, and, people trying to find out, okay, who was it that committed this murder? And then the people that committed it trying to eliminate her so that she can't rat on them. And we get to the end, and I honestly still don't know 100% why the woman was killed. But I think that just reinforces the point that this is all just trivial to them, to the people doing all of this, acting, carrying this out from the future, the 2130s. Everything that they're doing, which is, the orders of magnitude, greater than anything that anyone saw in the 2070s in Flynn's time period, it's just a pastime to them.
Right. It just got,
it's not even a pastime. It's a nothing to them, because
right.
they can just open up a new one and fuck around with it. Like they say that one guy, Vespasian.
Yeah.
His whole thing was going into opening up new continuums and just having different civilizations battle each other so he could win the weapons from whoever the winner was and take their weaponry back to like their time.
Right. The
that's
big,
where they get that crazy
red washing machine
backpack thing.
Right.
Yeah, the red washing machine.
Yeah. And in fact, so Agency is about one that they discover that he had opened up starting in 2015.
Oh.
And so Agency takes place in 2017.
Right. Okay.
And it takes place in a timeline that he had manipulated so that Hillary Clinton had won the election in 2016 and the Brexit vote had been to remain. So even before I started getting to that and remembered that that's what it was about, I had already been thinking, what if QAnon is just someone from the future posting all of this stuff just to fuck with our timeline?
That's funny. Right. It could be. It would explain a lot, right?
Right.
It's somebody in the future playing silly buggers with no consequences to them in any way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary thing to think.
Yeah.
And it's very possible with all of the different.
It would explain.
If you think multiverse theories.
Well, right. I mean, this came out of a friend and I talking about, simulation theory. Which is the idea that we're just living in a simulation, and it's not that far removed from the concept.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking I'm still having trouble with all the time stuff. I don't have my head wrapped around that completely, but I thought I found a break. I thought it was broken, but it's not, because you can't have information travel faster than the speed of light, right? You can't, that's the thing. You can't do that. Right. You can't have information travel faster than the speed of light. And I thought that he had broken that by them being able to transfer information back to us.
But they're 6 days apart.
They're 6 hours apart. They're 6 hours. 6
hours
apart.
That's right. Yeah.
But we're also 1 for 1. An hour here is an hour there.
Mm-hmm.
So that
it's
information
just like
is actually traveling within the realm
real
of
time
real time anyway. So he didn't break the universe there. I thought I caught him, but I didn't.
No.
No. I
was thinking,
I don't claim that I could. I just thought I had.
Right.
I was thinking
Gibson's done this more than I have.
Yeah. And in regards to like your MacGuffin, like the why they would even open up like another continuum, or what's the whole purpose behind that, is also Gibson had said that like one of the things that he loves about writing books or like reading books is like technology that doesn't really get explained. Like it's just like the internet, like people use the internet and people exploit it to do all sorts of things that they never would have thought it was invented for in the first place. And so his whole thing was this continua, like who cares where it comes from, or if it's a secret server that is made up in China, like people are gonna, if it's a thing, somebody out there is gonna be using, especially this rich, Russian guy that has all of the money at his disposal, and his family, I think, is behind it too. Like he's doing it for his family, right? Like he's for his brother or something like that. He's kind of scouting out all of the different continua.
Kind of, yeah.
Lev was doing.
Like Lev is like a
gentleman of leisure.
Basically, yeah. that's pretty much what it is, And
like
he
finds
happens
the fun
to be
for his family.
Yeah.
His family is much more involved in the the operations of the klept, as they call it, the kleptocracy, in their own time, and maintaining the family's wealth. And he's just somebody who likes to dick around with this stuff.
Right.
So
just a continuum enthusiast, just because why not?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's very, I kept thinking back on, which is another author that I keep going back to, is Terry Pratchett. He has, there's a lot of gods in his Discworld universe. And a lot of the time they really are just playing games, but we're the figures.
Right.
And it was,
I mean, that goes back to Greek mythology too. Fucking with us all the time.
Yeah, no, totally. But we're just pawns, and it was really in that whole continuum enthusiast thing is just them fucking with us because they can. I don't know that I wouldn't like.
Right.
Or maybe that's what Sims is. We do it with the Sims, right? Like everybody builds a pool and then takes the ladder away.
Well, I remember playing the Sims at one point, and I don't know if you've talked about Philip K. Dick on here. If you've read The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch.
I'm not.
Okay. So that one involves people who are colonists on Mars, and their lives on Mars are so dull and so boring. The only way that they can stay sane doing that is they take this drug and they play with these miniature play sets, which and when they take the drug, they project themselves into this, so they are very much absorbed in these miniature play sets, and it reminds them of being on Earth. And the first time, well, not the first time, but at one point playing The Sims, and I'm playing this Sim who is getting up and going to his job and all this stuff, and I flashed to that book, and I thought, my God, is this what I've become? Is my life so bad that I'm playing a simulation of of a normal work day,
my day to day,
my day to day, right?
Yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that's I mean, ultimately, that's what all games are, right?
Well, yeah,
sort of. I mean, at the end, that's why I don't.
That's why I don't like GTA in real life.
Some people have.
Sign me up.
I think that's why I don't like resource management games, because I do it all day at work anyway. I don't I don't really feel like Subnautica is a great game, but I can only take about 2 hours of it before I feel like fuck, I just got to go shopping for fish. Like,
you played Papers, Please?
No, somebody, I might have that in my library, but I haven't played it.
Yeah. Talk about a game that simulates the drudgery of work. Dear God.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Papers, Please.
Yeah.
Homework for next week.
Yeah, right. There's I can't think of the name of it. Oh crap. I have it. I actually have a game running of it. It takes 400 days to play. Like,
okay,
you're a little dude, and your job is to wake up a god. He says, "Wake me up in 400 days." So in 400 days, you have to go back and wake the god up. In the meantime, you can just kind of wander around some caverns. There's in this game, and I think it's called the Waiting or the Waitening.
Dear God.
So there's actually a copy of Moby Dick in a bookshelf in this game, and you can literally read it while you're waiting your 400 days. There's all sorts of other stuff you can do, but not a lot. Basically, you really do. You start a game, and you could start a game and just come back 400 days later and wake the god up and win the game.
Right.
But in the meantime, you can just wander the cavern. You can collect little bits of coal. You can do some like cave drawings. You can literally read Moby Dick. But that's the object of the game, is to wait 400 days and then wake up the god. Like, that's it.
Anticipation would be killing me, man.
Yeah, I know, right? I got it, and I have it running in the background right now. So I think I have like 300 days left, and I'll tell you how it goes.
Let us know if you read Moby Dick.
Yeah, no, that's an audiobook. I don't read it anymore. Yeah.
That actually, so like you were saying, the narrator for this is maybe not the best, and compound that with the number of characters and the fact that, you don't necessarily get distinctive voices for a lot of the characters is one of the things that makes it hard to keep track of.
Yeah. And there's so many new words and so much new tech and so many new things that you just get dumped right on you out of nowhere. Like Luke 4:5 they don't say, Luke 4:5 is this bad thing. They're just like, Burton went off to go fuck up Luke 4:5.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
And
like, that's
ultimately you get, it's like the Westboro Baptist Church,
Well, no, very clearly it's the Westboro Baptist Church.
Right.
But I looked it up. Lorelei King is actually an accomplished actress. And she's won a lot of awards for her voice acting and a lot of awards for reading books. She's on, and this trips me out because we're back to a connection here. She's on fucking Bob the Builder.
Oh, no way.
She's Wendy. She's Wendy on Bob the Builder. And longtime listeners will know that the reader for Scalzi's book, Old Man's War, William DeFries, was Bob the Builder. So we have this really weird, our show has this really weird connection to Bob the Builder somehow. It keeps coming up.
That's too funny.
But another one is she was on a show that I mentioned, I think last episode on the Neverwhere. There's a guy named Lenny Henry that got Neil Gaiman to write Neverwhere. He was on a show called Chef. Lorelei King was on the show called Chef. She was in the 3rd season on that show. So again, we have all these British comedians are all tied in this tiny little knot, and they keep coming up.
Damn.
But how about Bob the Builder, man? Bob the Builder coming up twice big on our show.
I feel like my next book, I got to research Bob the Builder and
I know, right?
A book from there.
I need a Bob the Builder t-shirt.
Keep it going.
So, she is an accomplished voice actor. She's an accomplished actress. She's in tons of shit. Her page on her Wikipedia page is long as hell. I just don't think she was a good match for this. So more voices, but that would have been hard for anybody. I think the amount of voices in this, unless you were going to do a full cast, I think is really asking a lot of any voice actor.
No, I agree. I think, maybe where I stumbled with it a little bit was just for having read it before. Her Wilf Netherton voice was not not nearly the way that I imagined him. Although by the time it was over, I did appreciate at least that his voice was recognizable.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
But it wasn't who you would picture at all when he describes Wilf Netherton. It's not the voice that you would assign him. It's hard though. I read I listened to a Q&A with William Gibson on YouTube that was pretty interesting, and he talked about, as he was writing the book, that he had issues or trouble with distinguishing the two characters also. Like they bled into each other. He said he would start writing and Netherton would all of a sudden start sounding like Flynn, and he'd have to go back and like revise a bunch of it and vice versa. So, and he said too, like the way that it was written with like the short chapters kind of threw him off too. Like it wasn't planned out that way. It just kind of started happening. And then halfway through, he was like, actually, this is really working for the story. Yeah. But at first, like it was the way that it was short chapters, like his writing would bleed into the next one. And I think that could have hindered it a little bit in that aspect, but
maybe that was one of the things that I appreciated in the way that it was written, was that it would jump between the two time periods or between the two perspectives at each chapter, even if we might go to Flynn's time period from Wilf's perspective in The Wheelie Boy, or to a chapter on Flynn, but she's in the Peripheral in Wilf's time period.
I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't made that connection, that it was just bouncy the whole way.
So speaking of voices and what you imagine, what you picture, Ainsley Lobeer, who do you see?
I see like a Glenn Close or
Judi Dench.
Yeah, Judi Dench is a good one.
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton. Who's Tilda Swinton? I know the name. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh Lord. What was the last thing that I saw her? So I always think of
that's good. That's good.
She was in the Suspiria remake. That was actually Doctor Strange.
Right.
Snowpiercer.
Okay. Yeah.
Was she? I still haven't seen that.
That's a good one.
But so apparently that was just who I kept imagining, and I think for some reason it was the white forelock that he was describing. For whatever reason, that was what I was seeing. And he has apparently said that was always who he imagined.
Oh, that's funny. Awesome.
Yeah. Her doing an impression of someone, and I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but
that's funny.
So apparently, there's a Amazon TV series of this in the works, which I guess at the Q&A that he had on Monday or Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. Because you did the paperback of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The paperback of Agency just came out. So he had a Q&A online with Cory Doctorow, and apparently it's in pre-production in London for that part of it. And he doesn't know where I guess they don't have anything picked for where the US part is going to be.
Right.
That is cool. Damn, I didn't know about this show. That's exciting.
It could be,
but we'll see if they can actually get Tilda Swinton for it.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I know, right?
I'm cautiously optimistic. If they do it right, and if they throw enough money into the budget, it could be really, really good.
It could be good. Like I said, I saw that the first episode was written by Scott B. Smith, who wrote the novels for The Ruins and A Simple Plan, which are both very good. And then he also adapted his own book of The Ruins and wrote the screenplay for the movie of that. So, and he's done a few other things adapting other people's works. So I guess they've decided he's very good at doing that.
Right. We'll see. I
Yeah,
hope so.
another thing to be optimistic about.
Yeah, right. It's not on Netflix, so we've got that going for us.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be cool. I did like this is sort of coming out of nowhere, but I did like there was one part I bookmarked it. I forgot to bring it back up, but they were talking about reality shows and trying to explain to Netherton what reality shows were.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he said that he remembered something like that, but it got sort of mixed in with politics, and then politics became a reality show and everything else. And Flynn says, I think that already happened here.
Yeah.
And this was written in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so
yeah.
It was already happening. Like it was already, and it's become even more than that. So again, Gibson not necessarily predicting things, but totally called it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did think that was very almost prescient in some level. So
yeah, in so many ways, he has turned out to be prescient.
Yeah. Just well, and this really was one of the complaints I've read about this book that people didn't like is that it celebrates capitalism, right? I mean, it's basically it sort of, and I don't know that I totally agree with this, but at the end of the day, money solved the problem.
Like, well, it solved the immediate problem,
right?
But what additional problems did it create?
Right. But it did. It's and I don't think that Gibson is celebrating capitalism, but
right.
I think
I think
there's a warning
demonstrating.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, well, somebody had said that was their complaint. But, well,
that's crazy because they were trying to stop the jackpot from happening is what Lowbear's like end goal is, like
right
back in the stub. And it seems like everything that they're doing was basically leading to them stopping how it would happen for their future, like how it happened in their reality. But it's still what they ended up doing, introducing all of like that commerce in that area, completely changed everything. So like you were saying, it almost seems like that is the reason for the name jackpot, like in their version of the future, like it fits perfectly because like he won the jackpot and it changed everything like after that day. So it makes you think, like before hearing about agency, I was like, oh, what about this stub thing? If they were somehow wrong and this few past like really did lead to their future somehow, or even though you do have like the characters that are like Vespasian or whatever that so it proves that there are separate stubs. But I was like, well, what if this stub led to their reality, their presence,
right?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Turn of events.
Yeah, and I do kind of wonder if that's what we're going to see in the third book is some kind of consequences for it, because the point that I've just gotten to in agency, which honestly, like, this is probably the most sequel that he's ever written. Because what I noticed in most of his other books is that the second book will take place in the same setting but follow completely different characters. And then in the third book, you may see them come together. Now in the second one, it doesn't follow Flynn Fisher anymore. Again, this takes place in a stub in 2017, but we have Netherton again, we have Lowbeer, we have Ash, we have all the same people from the future, and we have characters from Flynn's stub reappearing. And we do see a little bit more of what's happened in Flynn's stub, 4 or 5 years down the line. But one of the things that's happening in there is that Lev's family has come to him with great concern for what Lowbeer is doing. And so maybe the fear is that it may actually have some effect on their timeline.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Lo Bear is a very interesting character. Like I have written in my notes, who the hell is Lo Bear? Because like the way it talks about her, this entity, like
yeah,
she's so old. I just don't understand. Is she like part of the, I don't know, like the network or something like that? Like this, she's maybe is a peripheral that's being controlled by, like she's, I don't know, it just makes me think that she's not human some way. That
and I think that she's definitely very old, because what we learn later on is that her previous self, the person that becomes Lobeer, is alive and is a character playing in Flynn's timeline, and was a man at that period of time.
Griffith,
yeah.
It's like, what the hell? How does that happen?
Right. And Clovis as well. There's these two very, very old people who, have basically have some kind of technology keeping them alive. And she, Lobeer probably, I think, would say, is not necessarily even human anymore.
Especially with her connections to like the police network and everything like that.
Yeah, she doesn't just simply work for the Met, right? My first read through, I had it in my head, or my first listen through, I had it in my head that Lobeer was a Perry. And I was like, that makes sense. And then the second time I was like, wait, I don't know where I got that. Clearly she's not. But then it was like, well, what the fuck is she?
Right.
So there's something. I thought I missed. I guess I
omnipotent, but
right. I guess I misheard something, and not the whole first read through, but maybe for the first half. I just had it in my head that Lobeer had been a Perry, and I just thought that, oh, that's just what that is.
Yeah.
And then on the second one, I was like, okay, well, she's not a Perry, but she's not a regular person either. And she's not just like in Spec Ops or something like that. There's something else going on. I wonder if she's from another future farther ahead and come back to
about that.
So, but I don't know. I'm not even saying I speculate that, but I wonder if there's something else there. And then it turns out she's Griff, which I'm sure like sex change is a thing, and I'm not shitting on that, but what?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you live that long, I guess. I've done this. Let me try something else.
Yeah, try something else. But it could explain if she's a Perry or in a Perry or whatever, then it could explain that was just the available body at the time. And then I guess once you're kind of in a Perry for a while, you don't want to give that one up, right? Flynn and Connor both showed that they didn't want to give that, and Burton too didn't want to give up their individual Perrys.
Connor especially, and you can understand.
Well, even more so for Connor, but it does seem like you get kind of, it's like your car, right? Like I don't want to share my car with anybody, right? But even more so, right? Like that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's Lobeer's thing, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But I did wonder if there is a farther future coming back a step, and then that future coming back another step. Because why not? Why?
Right. Exactly.
Like
exactly.
What rule would that break? So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do like the line a bit where she kind of describes what she does. And, Netherton says, may I ask you what it is that you actually do? And Lobeer says, you pride yourself on not knowing who employs you, rather behind the curve in that I might pride myself, were I so inclined, on not knowing what it is I do. Says, literally. And she says, if one has a sufficiently open mind about it, certainly. I was an intelligence officer early in my career. In a sense, I suppose I still am, but today I find myself enabled to undertake investigations as I see fit into, should I so deem them, matters of state security. Simultaneously, I'm a law enforcement officer, or whatever that means in as frank a kleptocracy as ours. I sometimes feel like an antibody, Mr. Netherton, one protecting a disease.
Yeah.
And that's something that we see a little bit more of in Agency, as again, I said, in a way, she is in the employ of Lev's family, but not completely. And she's more powerful than just that.
Well, there's that, and then she's also like she's had memories removed, right? Like she comes out and says that, and there's this thing with the candles does something because the candles aren't just ambiance, right? Like that's not.
Well, and that is, I think they even make a nod to it being aromatherapy, which they say that smell is most closely linked to memory.
Right.
So yeah, that.
So she does. She visits Clovis to have some memories reimplanted. So there's obviously even more tech that we could visit. But there's something going on with Lobir. So I don't know what Lobir is, but
certainly the most enigmatic of the characters.
Well, and the beauty of Gibson is he might not answer these questions.
Right.
Like he might you could just read the third book when it comes out and just be like, I still don't know what the fuck Lobir's about. Like that's entirely a very real possibility.
Yeah. Free to draw your own conclusions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I'm waiting to see how long it is before someone, I mean, this is a completely different topic, but like Elon Musk comes around and takes over the garbage patch in the middle of the ocean. And it's like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. I should make an island, or I should make a continent out of that. Like, like you said, he predicts the future. I mean, how long is it before somebody's taking nanotech, like the assemblers, and having them reconstruct all of that plastic out there for something? Somebody has to be able to utilize that for some sort of
personal gain.
Well, it's all
make money off it somehow.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And ultimately, we kind of find out that was what was involved in why, Alita was killed.
Maybe
somehow.
Well, we don't know why. We don't know why she was killed. She could have been killed for other reasons, but that's why Habib was doing what he was doing, because he wanted to take over the patch and monetize the patch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
he was getting too close to Daedra too, right? So maybe Alita was caught him doing something with Daedra, is what it kind of alluded to.
Yeah, and it might have even just been, simple jealousy. That Daedra had her killed for that. So. Yeah.
And Daedra is an interesting character too, with her tattoos. Just some of that tech that he gets into, but with her tattoos, Gavin, you're heavily tattooed and visual. Aaron, do you have any tattoos?
I have one.
What do you guys think about this tattoo that Ash has? The best part about it, I thought, was when it climbs off of her hand and goes on to Netherton, and they have that dialogue with the bird speak and the Germanic, where it's constantly changing and evolving, where it was like the tattoos were like tech, where she's using them like as part of like her hacker sense, basically. That was just the whole thing where Daedra basically like gets her skin removed after her story's completely tatted on her, and she has these little mini dolls that people collect. I was like, oh man, I could see myself collecting those dolls.
I thought about you doing that. I was like, fucking Will's in.
Little Funko.
Sign me up, dude. I would have a whole lineup back on my shelf of dolls. It would be cool. Yeah. Like,
what box do I have to subscribe to get that?
Yeah, Ash was like every goth chick that I ever had a crush on, but would have a terrible relationship with.
Yeah. Yeah, Daedra was a complete. I didn't like her at all. But Ash was cool, but I wouldn't want to hang out with her.
Right? You could just
treat you like shit all the time.
Yeah.
Totally.
You'd want to just be like her servant, like her slave,
right?
Just be taken,
just be miserable the whole time.
Yeah.
But would you guys get some tattoos like that, some movable tattoos? I would be
very interested. Tomorrow, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting for the quarantine shit to be over so I can go up to I got a buddy in Michigan that owns a piercing and tattoo shop. I'm going up to Michigan as soon as we're allowed to travel again to get an implant. I'm getting an implant and Riffid implant in my hand.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you give me movable tattoos, fucking sign me up, dude.
Explain that implant for the layman.
It's like if you've ever gone into a hotel where you have to wave a card, or an office building where you wave a card in front of a door to be let in. The information on that card can be put in a very small capsule and planted in the little web between your thumb and your forefinger. and then you wave your hand in front of the door and open the door.
You could do stuff like credit card or like smart pay things on it too, right? Like
they're working on that. That's not done just yet. There are ways to do that, but they go bad after about 2 years. So it's right now that's a temporary thing, but there's a company called Dangerous Toys, I think, is working with some banks in Europe to get something more permanent, so you can actually have a reloadable card for instant pay in your hand. So that tech isn't quite here yet, but you can also put other information in it. You can make like locks in your house. There's locks in your house, so you can have your front door. It has to be your hand in front of the front door to open the front door. Safes, gun safes, computers. If you have really high tech stuff on your, or really sensitive information on your computer, you can put a riffid lock on it and have it in your hand. I got a buddy that wants to make a gun room with his implant to do that. They've got them now at LEDs too, so when you load it, you get a little blue light flashing through. So,
nice.
I don't even know what I'm going to do with mine. I just want it. Like, I don't even have, it's not like I have any of this stuff. There's nothing important on my computer. I got 8 terabytes of various porn, probably, which I'd share with people if you wanted, but I want it. I would get the moving tattoos. I would do that tomorrow.
And
I say that, but
phone.
then, the implanted phone is cool, but I say that, but now that I think about it, I wouldn't get a blacklight tattoo, and I wouldn't get a glow in the dark tattoo ink. There's some things I wouldn't do, but I think if it becomes that accepted and that big, then yeah, absolutely sign me the fuck up. I think it'd be cool as shit, man. Have Itchy and Scratchy, dude. How cool would it be to have Itchy and Scratchy chase each other all over your body?
Oh, man. Goes into your asshole to hide.
It's a different show.
It's only for Alice, reserved for.
Well, I like the idea that Ash's tattoos, she has these nano tattoos or whatever of, extinct species that are semi-sentient, and they run and hide from strangers when she's talking to people.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's neat. And being flayed, I don't think I'd go that far. I like getting tattooed, and I like having tattoos, but I don't know that once I run out of room, I would go flay off an arm and then regrow skin just so I can get tattooed again. I don't think, maybe call me a lightweight. I don't know.
That's we're getting into Clive Barker territory there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Another cool thing that I thought, just where we were talking earlier, Gibson dropping you into his stories. In his Q&A, he had said another part that he really loved was to introduce like a version of culture shock. So like along with all of this new technology, like where you're basically kind of playing catch up that whole first half of the book. I thought that was cool that he enjoys that. And that's one thing that he always looks for, like in his favorite sci-fi books. He's a very interesting fellow.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen all of I guess you attended a Q&A with him the other day, Aaron. So that was, how did that, like, what was the one thing that you took away from that was like your, with somebody like us that wasn't able to attend, because that was like a private event, I think, right?
It was ticketed.
So yeah.
I mean, you buy the ticket and you will actually. I'll get a paperback copy of Agency, so now I'll have 2 copies of it.
That's cool.
Ooh, 2 books. You need a shelf.
I know, right? Honestly, I think the thing that I took away from it the most was I read him as an introvert because he thinks before he speaks. And so it was almost, and here I am doing the same thing.
I was just thinking that.
I was about to say it's not quite painful to listen to, but you are very aware of the gaps and the pauses and where he's just stopping to think before he answers, which is something that I appreciate, and I know that I do that myself. But that was probably the most surprising aspect of it. That, and he's old, man. He's, every so often I remember that Neuromancer was written or came out in 1984.
Yeah, that's nuts,
and
right?
It just blows my mind. Yeah. What he has, the time period that he was doing what he was doing, I don't know. It's nuts. Neuromancer doesn't seem dated at all.
Mm-mm.
Even though I guess in some way, so one of the things that he talked about, just last week, I guess, was the day that Johnny Mnemonic took place, January 17th, 2021.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And he made that comment that I sent to you.
Oh yeah.
What was it that he said? Future predictive science fiction stories are like ice cream cones. They start melting the moment you finish them. And what he was talking about basically is that, as soon as you put a date on something and you finish it, if it's in the future, well, time is catching up to that. So eventually, you've put this date on something and time will get there, and not everything is going to be like you wrote down.
Yeah.
And so that, you get around that by not stamping a date on it. But at the same time, you are reality is going to lap it at some point. But I feel like that is less the case with him than it is with a lot of other sci-fi.
Yeah. Well, especially this, because it can all be explained away as a stub.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I mean, that's just, that happened in an alternate stub in an alternate universe. That's a thing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. There's that sense that it could still happen. Like you said, Johnny Mnemonic was the other day, but like, it could still happen. Maybe he got the date wrong, but it could totally still happen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're talking about your RFID implant. Well, you get a hard drive implanted in your brain, and you can carry some extra information in there, and yeah.
Yeah. You have to rewatch
that was cool.
Johnny Mnemonic. I haven't seen that for a while.
I put it on the other night.
Did you?
Yeah. I think it's free on Prime right now or something.
Probably. Is it still watchable?
Yeah. As it ever was.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe even more so now. Just because we look on it with greater, I feel like we as a culture have a greater fondness for Keanu Reeves now than maybe we did then, and maybe be a little bit more forgiving of his approach to that as a fledgling actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had forgotten that Henry Rollins is in that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And Ice-T is in everything. Yeah.
Ice-T.
That's funny. He was in Tank Girl too, right? Ice-T was in Tank Girl, right? He was a kangaroo dude.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good one.
I did like that movie. Lori Petty's really cute in that.
Mm-hmm. That was actually the start of my crush on Naomi Watts too. She was Jet Girl in that. Yeah.
Right. That's right. Time to rewatch that.
Yeah.
Jet Girl. We'll have to put that picture on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll find it. Yeah. That movie
there we go.
was a trip.
Yeah.
Aaron's first crush.
No.
First crush on Naomi Watts.
Yeah.
That's
long before anybody else actually knew who she was,
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, do you guys have anything else to add to our discussions?
Not that I can think of. My big question is Lobier. Is I want to know, and I am willing to accept that I may never know. I want to know Lobier. I want to know what Lobier's deal is. I want to know how we go from Griff to Lobier. I want to know that.
Right.
Everything else I'm good with. The time travel stuff I was worried about for a while because, like I said, the first one I listened to, but he didn't break any of the rules. He didn't break any of his own rules, and sometimes he just sort of explained it away. He was like, "Oh, different universe, it's fine." But that works. It all worked. I'm all comfortable with that. And then, like I say, I thought I caught him on information traveling faster than light, and it didn't. And then just generally, why? Like, why is this other than just gentlemen of leisure fucking with the stub just to do it, which I guess is completely reasonable excuse.
That was really what I got out of it, was that this was just, people with a whole lot of money and nothing to do.
Yeah.
And that was, again, that was my big message, especially as I got to the end and, once again, didn't really understand what any of the motives were, or didn't completely understand the motives, and realizing, going back to read it a couple times and realizing that it's irrelevant. And that was the point, that why this murder took place. And, that wasn't the point of it.
It's not the point. And we don't need to have that answer. Yeah.
Right. The point of it was that, these rich and powerful people can do whatever the fuck they want, and they can fuck with people, who are pawns to them.
Right. With absolutely zero consequence. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway. So
Right.
Given that, I don't know that I would call it a singing the praises of capitalism.
Well, no, I'm not accusing him of that, but
you come out of it what you bring into it, I guess, maybe.
Right. Well, that's true too. Yeah. So, but no, it was a great book. I'm really looking forward to reading Agency. I'm going to take a break. When is the third book due? Do we have
He's writing it now, so
a couple of years.
It's hard to say. It'll probably be a couple of years. I mean, there was what Agency came out in
Agency was
2020. Yeah. And so that was, 5 or 6 years in between. Now this one is probably closer than Agency was, because I think and he even said, he had started working on Agency before the election of 2016.
Right.
And then had to kind of reevaluate everything when he woke up on that morning and Trump had been elected.
Right. Yeah, I think I read it. He was having some trouble with it too. He kept trying to write things and it just wouldn't happen. And he had to sort of go back and revisit some stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get the third book a little faster, but I am looking forward to reading Agency. I want to give myself a couple months, I think, but I definitely want to hit. And I got to go back and read the Bridge Trilogy and the Sprawl and the Blue Ink.
Yeah. I got to go back and read Neuromancer. And what is that? The Sprawl Trilogy, or
that's the Sprawl Trilogy.
Neuromancer's the one that started. And like I said, he's the guy, like we were talking about cyberpunk a lot because of androids. He's the guy, Gibson's the guy that invented the term cyberpunk. So as much as the aesthetic of cyberpunk with the neon and the rain and the noodle bars and stuff is Blade Runner and Akira, a lot of the tech aesthetic all comes from Gibson. He's really...
The sky above the port was the color of a television tuned to a dead channel.
Yeah, right? That's
the opening line of Neuromancer, and that's
cool.
Talk about setting the stage,
Right. So he really is like not just a godfather, but the father of all cyberpunk. That's him, and between him and Blade Runner and Akira, that's the genre. It's a shame that it got stuck there. I think there's a lot to do with that genre that other people haven't. But Gibson's and then the Bridge Trilogy. I think the Bridge Trilogy was my personal favorite.
It's fantastic. It really is.
They're all good. All Gibson's good. Most Gibson's good. And then if you go a little farther, him and Bruce Sterling wrote a really interesting book called The Difference Engine,
That's the one that I haven't read.
It took me so many tries to get through that book, but
really?
So Charles Babbage invented a steam powered computer. Well, he didn't actually invent it, but he had plans for it. And this book supposes that it worked. So we have 18th century hackers running around with ornate cases of punch cards. And it's just it's an interesting look back on that sort of cyberpunk history, but everybody's in horse-drawn carriages and shit like that. So
he not only invented cyberpunk, but also steampunk.
Oh shit, I think he did.
Yeah.
Crap. So yeah, him and Bruce Sterling, he shares the blame on that, if that's true.
Yeah.
But that's a really interesting one. And then I just learned this tonight. Another thing that Lorelei Lee was in. Gibson wrote Aliens 3, the full cast adaptation, and she's in that as well.
So, really?
But he wrote the Aliens 3 full cast adaptation of that, which I thought was odd.
Yeah, I have that. I have a PDF of that somewhere, of the script that he wrote for Alien 3 that was never used.
Oh, that's funny.
And I guess it has been people have done, table reads or whatever of that.
Yeah. Okay, well, Audible has sense. It. I think I actually have it in my collection. Yeah.
Yeah. I have it too. It was a free one.
Oh, that's funny. That's there's a reason it's free.
That's too funny. Well, I wanted to actually, I was reading my notes here and I forgot to mention at the beginning when our main character Flynn is first brought into the far future, I guess you would call it, and she's bounced up out of the RV or the truck that she's in, and she's in the gyrocopter or whatever machine she's in. She ends up following that, what they call the backpack.
Yeah.
And it's like this square object. And I just wanted to talk about that object because I can't think of anything, like trying to think of something that would be more, I don't know, kind of terrifying is hard to do, because it's, if you assign like a form, like a body form to it, like an alien or any sort of beast or monster, it's, you know what that is. It's a monster, it's a beast. You can expect like what is going to happen. But then you have this, like, I don't know how he even described it. It was like creeping up the side of the building. It blended in. It was like a square at one point, and then it looked like a backpack, and it was 4-sided or 8-sided, and the way it was folding up on itself, and then the way that it finally killed Alita, where it just ate her entire body, like those, like the nano,
the assemblers,
weapons. Yeah. It's just like the most creepy thing. Like, you can, if you had this like inanimate object coming after you, I can't imagine like really much else that would be more terrifying.
It's
like
pretty scary,
right?
Right?
Square. Like, what the hell is this thing going to do to me? It reminds me of the thing in Interstellar, like the robot that they have with them.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
That's
it actually, because I was thinking of it as maybe a little bit more fleshy and organic looking. She said it was kind of like a pillow, and at each of the four corners, it was maybe extended a little bit more, so it had these legs or pseudopods or something, and it was just kind of flipping over and over as it climbed up the building. And it was very I thought more of like Existenz, the Cronenberg movie,
right?
With this kind of merger of tech and flesh. But yeah, the assembler stuff, and later on we have the assembler guns that they take out of this baby carriage. That you point it in the general direction of something and it picks a target and releases these cloud of nanobots that just disassemble anything organic. And that, speaking of Neil Stephenson again, I was kind of primed for the whole idea of nanotech by his book, The Diamond Age, which is another fantastic one. And that really imagines a future where nanotech is prevalent, and the same kind of idea that anything can be assembled or disassembled from anything else.
Right. Yeah.
And it's called the Diamond Age then because it's far easier to make diamond than just about anything else because it's just carbon. So all of the windows in buildings and things are made of diamond because you can just make it, you know.
That's too cool.
Yeah. More homework, I guess. That's another great one. I've been meaning to come back to for a while.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah. But again, this is, you know, the idea of these assemblers are something that he just kind of takes for granted in this book.
Right.
That, you know, he doesn't explain them all that much. But yeah, it's something that is, you know, made its way into the public consciousness, or at least, you know, sci-fi nerd consciousness in the last 20 years or whatever. So
yeah, I was almost right at the end when the little parrot-headed gun came up out of the granite.
Yeah,
I was almost gonna say, like, when maybe first read through, it was like, is that not just the hand of, or the machine of God, the Deus Ex Machina or whatever?
Right.
Like, it's, oh, how does Flynn get out of this? Oh, look, there's a gun, but it's not, because like, it's all there, right? I mean, it's all there to begin with. There could be a question is, how does Lobier actually set that up? But it doesn't matter how Lobier sets that up. You know, she can. Right. If El Habib can do it, then Lobier can certainly fucking do it.
Yeah.
So, but that was, and like you say, like the nanotech stuff we've been hearing about nanotech for decades now, right? I mean, even Star Trek talks about it. That's yeah. So, all in all, it was great. Anybody listening that's interested in it, read it. Don't be scared off because we're saying it's hard. Read it. Go into it. Go into it knowing you're going to do it twice.
Yeah, it will be worth it.
It'll be totally worth it. The second read through or the second listen through was so good and so rewarding, and catching on all the little
totally rewarding,
the little stuff, like you say, just the little things.
Yeah,
and if you very filled out universe.
If you're really struggling with it, maybe try pattern recognition. You know,
right?
Like I say, that was my Rosetta Stone for Gibson. So maybe it helped me recognize his patterns. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he actually said something. He used the term pattern recognition in this book too. I forgot.
I remember that.
But I saw that. I was like, wait a minute. Are you referencing your own work? Are you allowed to do that? Is that how fucking cool you are? You can do that.
Absolutely.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Give him permission to do that.
Gibson gets permission to do whatever the hell he wants.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I hope that he does for as long as he can.
Yes. I saw somebody the other day. I was looking at some of his stuff on YouTube, and somebody commented every year he looks more and more like the Finn.
I saw that comment.
What's that? What'd you say? Will?
I saw that comment.
Yeah. It'll make sense when you read more Gibson. The Finn is a character in one of his books. He's just
like, I feel like I know that reference, but I'm trying to think of what it's from.
It's one of his characters, but he's looking more and more like one of his characters. So
he's describing the future there.
Yeah. So that's all I got on it.
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to Aaron for coming on the show tonight.
Yes. It was rad, man. Thank you.
Really cool.
Thank you guys. It was it was great to do this.
Have you as our first guest, man. It's really christening the show for us.
That's right.
As we could say. We're still in the single digits, so that's pretty cool that you were able to get in here.
Beat the rush
early on.
Always happy to talk sci-fi.
I'd say it sounds like you have a wealth of knowledge, and we certainly love to have you on in the future.
Opportunity. So yeah,
especially with your godlike voice. I was telling Gavin, I think you should do Audible, because he sent me that short clip that you had read of the Rat King.
Rat King.
King Rat, yeah.
And
King Rat, yeah.
Or King Rat, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was very impressed. I thought I could definitely listen to a book here with your voice. So
right.
Well, yeah, I did. There are a few things that I want to do in that regard. So yeah,
pretty cool.
Well, you have the full financial support of the Holograms Media Club behind you.
You certainly do.
Excellent.
We have a big
can you
money
buy me controlling shares in Hefty
podcast.
Mart?
That's right. You can have 100% of the proceeds from this episode.
All right. Can you outbuy Milagros Cold Iron? That's
not
question.
just yet. Not just yet.
Okay.
I've got some shit in the works. I got some phone calls to make.
All right.
Talk to our girl Ash.
That's right. Talk to Ash.
Perfect.
Well, we can't wait to have you on again in the future. I have to say, I think it's my turn to pick the book for our next episode.
It is.
And I didn't have enough time to really do any heavy research into the book, just because I was really spending a lot of my time listening to the Peripheral this past couple of weeks and just watching William Gibson on YouTube. If you guys are out there and want more William Gibson stuff, he's definitely got a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of cool like Q&A work. So totally check that out. But my next book for you, I was really surprised to hear that you have not read The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury.
There it is.
It's kind of definitely one of the original classics, written in 1946, and it kind of takes place with a bunch of short stories. And I think it's kind of like in 3 parts from what I can remember, where the short stories you could break them down into 3 parts. And they take place, like he actually wrote them to take place between 1999 and the year 2057. So we're pretty much right smack dab in the middle of his story.
Cool.
Where we are now. And it basically involves USA coming into Mars and the Martians' response to humans coming down, or I guess I should say people from the Earth coming down. And I don't want to really spoil too much for anybody that's going to be reading it that hasn't checked it out yet. So if you're going to be tuning into next episode, definitely read that. It's not a very long book. I think it's only a couple hundred pages, and it's definitely a really cool, easy book to read. It's, like I said, it's short stories, so you can pick it up and just read for a couple minutes and get a lot out of it. So
cool.
I'll do it next. I just started Phantom Menace today, so I'll finish Phantom Menace.
Yeah, that Martian Chronicles would be a gap in mine as well. So I'll definitely be taking that as some homework too.
That's cool. That's good. I don't feel so bad, Don. I know it's one of those that like everybody should do. Like
right. Yeah.
And I'm surprised that I hadn't, but we were talking and I was like, shit, I just haven't. I feel a little embarrassed about that, but I will correct.
The narrator's really good too, so you'll enjoy
Lorelei King.
Yeah. Easy to listen to. Yeah, Lorelei.
I would pay for that. I would not pirate Aaron's work. Well, no, that's not true. I would. I just tell you.
Yeah.
I pirated my own kids. My kid's in a band, and he put his shit out on SoundCloud for $5. I pirated that.
That's hardcore. Well, you haven't made it until your music's being pirated, or until people are pirating it.
That's what I told him. I was like, man, if it's not worth stealing, it's not worth doing. So cool. All right. Well, I'll do that. Thank you again, Aaron. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Thank you guys. I really enjoyed it.
Have to have you back. If nothing else, for agency. Let's do agency with Aaron. Aaron can be Gibson.
That would be really cool.
Yep. If you get into
not to pigeonhole you into one author, but
no, any like I said at the beginning, any Gibson, any Neil Stevenson, more Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
That's in my wheelhouse. So
bread and butter.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome,
good
man.
Deal.
Cool guys.
Really cool.
All right.
Appreciate it. And well, this has been the Hologram Media Club podcast. We'll see you
next
all
episode.
Yeah, next time. Later.
Bye.
All right, stop that and stop. Zero.